I'm Ashley. I own a marketing company. I work with small businesses, and this is something we talk about a lot. And I'm going to introduce our panelist. This is Nate. I'm going to show you in just a minute the sites that Nate runs, and most of you have probably seen them before on Facebook. This is Melissa Salas. Melissa works for Swiss Watch International, and she manages a variety of pages. She has several sites within the brand, and so she manages a variety of social media pages for the different watch sites they have. And this is Scott Jangro. Scott runs Sharist, and I will show you in just a moment how Scott chooses to use personality in his social media when he's promoting his business. The first thing I wanted to point out is that social media is a lot like acting. So it's important to develop a strategy for the personality that you want your business to have to gain a loyal following. And I'm going to show you some examples of some different ways that people have done this. I went through several social media sites or several Facebook pages just to show you some different extremes on doing this. The first one I picked out was 1&1 Hosting Company. They choose to keep their page extremely professional. They don't talk about their personal lives. They just promote their business. And so it's easy to look at this and think that they don't have a strategy about developing that personality. But when we spoke to the individual that ran this page, he pointed out that they have a lot of international clients and that it sometimes offends them, his clients, if he shares a lot of personal stuff. So this is the strategy that they developed just to talk about their business because they know their audience, and that's the choice they made based on their audience and their audience's needs. I was looking for some sites that had great humor, and Skittles is always brought up. They say the most hilarious things on their Facebook page. They have a lot of creativity. So I loved where they said, wherever ninjas are, there they aren't. It has nothing to do it has nothing to do with Skittles, but they're developing that personality, and it helps get them a loyal following. And you can see, if you take a look, how many shares these items got. I positioned it perfectly so you can see how many shares. It has nothing to do with Skittles, but they have their personality out there. Another one that I picked up was Kim Garst. She is a social media expert. She runs Boom Social, and she's very sweet. She uses a lot of rainbows and smiley faces and stars and hearts and asks people about their day. And she gets so many shares. She always has butterflies and flowers, and that's her voice. And she's developed a loyal following based on that voice. You see her smiley faces. That's from her Twitter account. So every time she tweets, it shows up with a smiley face. So I'm going to start out with Coffee Nate and his page. And I just want to ask Nate how he chooses to use personality on his page. So I'm going to pull up a couple of your posts. Maybe. I'm pushing the button here.
Okay, so I'd like to use the strategy of humor and valuable content in giving tips. It's a page about coffee, so teach people about how to brew coffee better, but do it in an educational and humorous way at the same time. Also, a lot of the posts are humor related because it strikes a chord with everybody. Humor is a universal language. If you can make somebody laugh, you connect with them immediately, and they're more apt to share your content. And a lot of the posts that I create are unique. Instead of just resharing something that I've already seen, I'll make up my own and post that, and that will get exceptionally more exceptional traction versus the sharing of created posts that have already been through the social media channels.
The other page I wanted to show was Nate's marketing company, and you'll see some of the same stuff. There's a lot of sense of humor here, but then you have a completely different voice on your marketing site, and so I just wanted you to discuss what your strategy is for the marketing page.
Oh, marketing tips are a dime a dozen, so I try to impart something that I find valuable myself, something that I find is working for me, whether keeping up on the 300th change that Facebook has made this week, and kind of, sharing how that is being reflected in the reach or the amount of shares, or, how it's affecting the posts that I'm creating, the content that I'm creating, and also to impart some humor into it because it's kind of a dry subject. So, it's kind of, I was always the class clown, so I always kind of add that little twist to it.
And I'm going to get to this a little bit later, but I want you to discuss how that has affected your ability to gain clients and the kind of loyalty, the people that are attracted to that personality, what that's done for your business. If you ever feel like you need to keep up on everything going on Facebook, this is the page to follow, because he always explains what's happening and what the next thing is. Oh, here we go. I just thought this was really funny, but you have to take a minute to read it.
It's the secret sauce.
Melissa, I'm going to go through your page. This is from Melissa's page. She used to work with Buy TV, and I just wanted you to discuss for a moment how you used personality on this page when you were promoting things.
Sure. So I used to host a TV show for 7 years. It was called Buy TV. It was my previous role at Buy.com. It was our TV show. So for me, it was a great way for us to put a personality behind a retail brand when we're competing against the competitors of the time of Amazon and eBay. They didn't have a TV show. So this was for us to put kind of that in-store experience online. It was humanizing the shopping experience. It was giving us an edge over our competition. So with interviewing manufacturers, whether it was, this laptop, or it was a dog leash, which you'll see, coming up, or whatever, fashion. We had like 15 million SKUs, so there was tons of work to do. Oh, there's the dog I was interviewing when I was asking him how he liked his new leash. We were selling leashes. I mean, that was the thing with a retailer. You sell everything, right? So you got to make everything sexy, and so we put personality behind a manufacturer of dog leashes, and one of our creative designers had this beautiful lab and brought it to our set, and we just ran with it. And so it was a way for us to be outside the studio instead of being so stale in front of a green screen. We got to take it outside. The guys that are featured in that Happy New Year post, those are actually our editors that did a great job in making me look good behind camera, and so we wanted to bring them in front of the camera and let everyone kind of see who our team was. So they actually did all the post editing of that post, but it was really important to me, again, to put that personality behind the brand, both professionally and personally, and there'll be more examples later.
And if you go to Melissa's Facebook page, you'll see a lot of fantastic Halloween costumes. She's got a lot of those on her page. So I just wanted you to go over your new challenge now.
Yeah, so just a few months ago, I was with Buy.com for over 12 years, and we were acquired by a company called Rakuten, and so I took on a new endeavor with Swiss Watch International. Swiss Watch International was founded as a watch manufacturer, family-owned business, and they have 5 retail sites. So there's World of Watches, eWatches, The Watchery, I'm going to say them as they pop up here, smartbargains.com, and Editor's Closet. And so for me, I have this new challenge of developing a personality behind each of the 5 brands, and each one is unique. Now, when I started 3 months ago, they didn't. There were 3 watch sites that all sold watches. So it was up to me to kind of come up with the brand strategy. Well, so with the Watchery, we now made that our luxury watch site for a higher end clientele. It's your Breitlings and Tag Heuers and Rolex, Cartiers. eWatches is for designer watch brands, so your BCBG, your Michael Kors, Nixon, Fossil. Editor's Closet and Smart Bargains, 2 completely different audiences. One's luxury brands, designer brands, flash sale site. The other one is attracted to the female demographic, the soccer moms who love a smart bargain in fashion and bedding and stuff like that. So it was a great task to take, and we have 5, so with 5 affiliate programs and 5 social media sites, whether it's on Facebook, 5 Pinterest, 5 Twitter accounts, my team, essentially every time there is a new promotion, we have to put on a different personality for each one.
And that's where it comes back to, it's like acting. So she has the character for each of the sites, and everything that gets posted to that site is coming from that character. Scott, talk about your strategy on Facebook. Oh.
Selfies. Those of you who don't know me, I started in the affiliate space 14 years ago, and have been through a few different affiliate networks, and then became a publisher, and I've been doing this all along. And this was way back before social media, and there was more forums and that sort of thing. And as a company, Be Free, which doesn't exist anymore, it was an affiliate network, it had some problems with customer loyalty, or the impression that customers had of us, and I jumped in to help out as a product manager. The people who were doing it previously, PR people and that sort of thing, were not doing a very good job at dealing with customers and getting people to like us. So I jumped out there and just brought a personality to it. And I quickly realized that if I was just myself out there, and it was Scott, not Be Free, and I was one of you guys, and I just became part of the community, my name kind of became a brand in addition to our company. And that spanned all of my career in affiliate marketing, from Be Free to Commission Junction, where I worked, to becoming a publisher, where I was very vocal as a blogger, and until now, where I have my own company that I founded called Sharist. So I've kind of got my own personal brand that transcends all of it, whatever it is that I'm doing, and I kind of maintain that in my social media strategy now that we've come to Twitter and Facebook and that sort of thing. So it's really more about me and my name rather than the company that I'm working for. And so I'm very personal in Facebook and Twitter, and I just kind of lay it out there. In real life, I'm kind of private and quiet and reserved. So I kind of do the opposite on social media. It's maybe an outlet for me, and it's fun. And so I just, whatever I'm doing, I'll just kind of throw it out there and maybe get too personal sometimes, but, it's just fun. And I get a lot of flack for my behavior on Facebook with, it's not bad behavior, but just pictures of
with the selfies.
Selfies. And it's kind of become a thing. There's always a thing. It used to be chin poses, and now it's pictures of myself cycling or whatever it is I'm doing, family pictures and that sort of thing. And so I've just kind of gone with it, and I get way more good feedback on it than negative, which is not very much at all.
On the next slide, I wanted to share an example where Scott used, here's one of your rides that you posted. On the next slide, though, I wanted to share an example of how Scott ties this in with his business. So he is marketing himself. He does have the personality there, but then he brings his business into it. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure, and I think that, most of my activity on Facebook and Twitter is on my name, my own personal profiles, and that's something we'll be talking about, is separating the company and your personal profiles and strategies for that. I've always just done most of the activity on my personal profiles. We have company pages where it's less personal. But I do most of the activity here, and I bridge them, and don't do it too much, but once in a while I'll, promote my company to my personal page, which is my biggest audience. And I can use kind of the social capital that I've built over the years and do this once in a while and, use it to drive traffic to my business stuff.
On the following slide, I wanted to show another extreme example. You'll see me use a few examples from different people, and one of the examples that I always think of when I think of someone using a really strong voice, even though it's not polite, cutesy, or necessarily always professional, is Jeremy Shoemaker. And if any of you follow him on Facebook, you'll know that he's, I think the best word for it is maybe irreverent. So he uses really strong language. I feel like that's maybe an understatement. And he shares a lot about his personal life. And because of that, and because of the things he does, he's developed a really loyal following. He shared some examples of stuff going on in his personal life, and his fans came out in droves to support him. And so that's part of his strategy when he's on social media. One of the things I wanted to touch on as well is consistency, using across all the channels. When you have a voice, using remaining consistent in using that voice. So Skittles, I brought up this example because Skittles did a contest for pictures. And even when they were doing this contest, they still used their silly, cutesy, creative, unique voice there. And you can see, again, how many people liked that. 35 people commented on this picture. And this was, I think I posted this, or I grabbed the screenshot about an hour after they posted that, and they already had that kind of response. Because their customers know what to expect, and they've developed that loyalty based on their personality on their social media. This is a picture from Nate. One of the things that I wanted Nate to discuss, Nate posts some things that I may not for my marketing group. This is something I would not put on my page, and I just wanted him to discuss why and how that's helped his business.
Because I don't think anybody should try branding themselves as the ass group. I just feel that it's a community service on my part to let them know, perhaps you should optimize your images for the profile image size. And actually this one was, I reached out to them because I saw that was Cindy Ballard that liked the ass group. So I created an optimized image for them and sent it to them, and they were very appreciative. And that was just a goodwill gesture on my part.
And this is so much different than a reminder that says, don't forget to optimize your profile picture.
Right.
So
It's the same message, just
Nate's very good at finding the
it's a
unique
practical
voice in these
application.
things. I think I have some more examples here. You may have to just take a minute, and maybe you want to explain that picture.
Oh, which one? The bubbles? Okay, so I was talking about choosing a domain name. When you're choosing your domain name, you really need to think about what all of the words together may be interpreted as. So instead of what your business or organization's name is, try and look at it from all different angles, because speedofart.com could also be read speedo fart.
So Nate is a very good teacher, but he also uses that humor and develops loyalty based on that. And I think you were saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you're in the previous slide that turned into a client as well. Is that true? The one who's
No, the ask group?
Facebook?
No, that was
Oh.
just fun. That was just on my own.
We also
Thank you.
never mind.
Yeah, okay.
We also wanted to point out when it's too much. I don't know if you guys saw the post from Walmart. Somebody unintentionally used the Walmart page when they thought they were using their personal page. And you can see how many shares it got, how many likes it got.
It was the most interactive post that Walmart has ever created. They shouldn't have taken it down after 20 minutes. That's a lot of shares.
But we're pretty sure somebody lost their job over that one. One of the things that I wanted to address that people always ask about is how to handle, oh, do you? Who? Oh, good. So we just wanted to discuss how to handle if somebody makes a negative comment on your business page, and some great strategies for handling that. Any one of you can talk about this. Scott, I know you remember this happening because we talked about it on one of the calls. So this was an individual that was on the Gordon Ramsay show, and they got some very negative things on their Facebook page, and they did maybe not the best job of responding to the negative comments.
They got defensive immediately and aggressive in that, and it just went all wrong. And in dealing with negative comments, I think that a lot of people tend to, the reaction is to delete them or ignore them. And I've always found that it's best just to take it head on and professionally, not get defensive, not get aggressive or personal, just address it. And that's the best thing you could possibly do is just respond to it. Negative comments happen, and it's one of those, take a bad situation and make the best of it. And to show that you're willing to let some bad things hang out there, I think does a world of good, more than any other negative response you could have back. And especially not attacking back, and taking things personally.
I think we have an example of where they did that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, working for a retailer for over 12 years, we saw it all. I mean, the first thing if a customer is upset nowadays, the first thing they go to is Twitter and Facebook. They want to be heard. They want their friends to know they're upset with your brand as well. So the best thing you can do is to turn that into a success story. To your point is do not become defensive. You always have to be professional. You actually want your customers, again, this is about humanizing the shopping experience when you are a merchant. Or any type of customer service. You want them to know that you're there, that they aren't just lashing out at a computer screen, that there is someone there that cares, is willing to help, just as if they would have went right to a department store. So you want to welcome that feedback. You want to let them know, that you're there, that you'll always give a time frame. Thank you for submitting your feedback. I'm going to take this to our director of customer service. Give me 24 hours to respond to you. And I can't tell you how many people will reverse back and say, thank you so much. You just turned this around. Now I'm gonna, and that's the success story you want to have. Just remember that you two have been probably frustrated at one point over an experience, and it just takes that, helpful gesture. And again, that gives you credibility to your brand, knowing that you are that voice for your brand.
And I've heard more than one company say that they don't want to be on Facebook or Twitter because they're concerned about negative comments being posted there, but it's a really great opportunity to develop loyalty. Maybe saying you're weaker than my wife and weaker than me is not the best strategy, unless you decide.
The negative comments are going to happen whether you have a Facebook page or not, whether you have a Twitter account or not. So wouldn't you rather have them happen in a venue where you have other people that support your business, who like your business, who will actually stand up and defend your business, and you actually know that this situation has occurred? And I don't know if Melissa would attest to this or not, but it's been my experience that the vast majority of people who post negative comments on social media do not expect the brand to answer. They expect to just, lash out and have their say and then go their own way. But when you actually respond to that comment, they're taken aback. They're like, wow, this business is great. They actually listen to me, and it's totally
It's such a great opportunity.
It totally changes the atmosphere of that conversation and the spirit of the conversation, and takes that negative and makes it into a positive, and those people can become your brand ambassadors rather than your detractors.
Yeah, and this isn't just about Facebook either. With Twitter, you can use their search feature, type in your brand, different variations of your brand, and you can see in the Twitter universe who's talking about your brand. Most likely you are not seeing it unless you search for it. So I would use various hashtags, I would use various keywords, and see what people are saying about my brand or brands.
And one of the strategies I use for clients is to set up a Google alert that searches for those things. So you can set up a Google alert with your company name and see the feedback that's popping up online about you.
That's another great
point.
success story, is being able to retweet back to someone, I'm here, please message me or submit your order number, let me look into it for you and be there.
And there's nothing more diffusing than when someone says that you suck to say, you know what, we do suck, I'm sorry. And, people aren't expecting that. And, that'll turn things around more often than not.
One of the questions I've also heard is whether or not Facebook is a good place to do customer service, because if you train your customers to contact you that way, it can sometimes open a barrage. This is a little bit hard to read, there's a lot of stuff there, but really what I wanted you to see was all the hearts. This was an individual that was a little bit unhappy with an order, but she really liked the company, and you can see when they responded how she felt about it.
That was on a client of mine's page. And the initial comment that the customer made was, okay, I love you guys, but this happened. I was like, okay, well, so I took that public comment and encouraged the person to contact us privately so we could, resolve the situation. And then in that private conversation, after the situation was resolved, I encouraged her to go back onto the public page and post the resolution to show other users that, okay, this company dealt with it. You can see that we responded and took the message, the conversation privately, but then she did have some resolve to the situation, and then she posted how great the company was.
And you can see she says, "Thank you so much for the amazing response." So she really, that really created loyalty there. She's not going to get her coffee anywhere else now. We wanted to give you some suggestions about ways that you could appear as a company more personable to your audience. The first example I took was just sharing the behind the scenes. So you can explain where this was, but you shared your workspace for the day?
Oh yeah, so my family was camping, and that's where I got to work that day. So it's just nice being your own boss. So you can have a mobile office wherever your laptop can go, and even if you don't have Wi-Fi, if you can tether your phone, you are good to go. So definitely scenery like that makes for better creativity.
And sharing
With a French press, right?
With a French press, of
And
course.
so you still
course.
tied it in to work, and I have some examples, Melissa, of you doing this as well, sharing the
Yeah.
behind the scenes items.
Yeah, so when I hosted the TV show, it was, our fans loved hearing about, seeing pictures from behind the scenes, or not necessarily just what was on camera, but off camera. And we just got more shares and more likes when they saw there were just, real people behind the show and behind the brand. So I was constantly uploading to my own Facebook, or even to Twitter, Instagram, behind the scenes from the TV show.
And this is just a great way to create that loyalty, because the more people get to see the behind the scenes, the more they're able to picture what the workplace culture is like.
Oh,
what
and I
you-
love video games, so a lot of people didn't know that. So
Was it on there?
we would actually interview someone for Battlefield 3 or whatever, I loved playing the games, and I usually stayed for hours playing the games, and so sometimes the team would like to capture that. And
She really has a lot of great photos. Scott, this was one of your pictures from your Facebook page. And I just wanted Scott to talk a little bit about what it's done for his business to really put out there what his interests and hobbies are.
Sure. So again, getting personal and, making a connection with people is really what it's about. And, a few different hobbies, but the one that I talk about most is cycling, something that I'm obsessed with, really. And I do it all the time. And I like to share that in everything that I do, and especially, or particularly in social media. It's, it's an opportunity. And I get feedback all the time from people who, say they love following me around when I take pictures, when I'm out on 100-mile bike rides or wherever it is I'm going, or that I've inspired them to get in shape or to start riding or to do whatever it is that they need to do, to get in shape or just get out, get away from the office. And, making that connection with people outside of business is just something that really takes things to a different level from a relationship standpoint. And people, giving people some way to connect to you personally makes things much easier to work with from a business standpoint. And I just like to share what it is that what I like doing, and business is boring. Doing our service is about social media management or content marketing and that sort of thing, and that stuff is boring. But when you're sharing the stuff you love to do, people see that, and they'll share what they love back, and really improves relationships.
One of the things that, as we've shared, this is something that I wanted you to address, is how you use your passion for philanthropy to create that following.
I think, to be honest, I really didn't use it as a strategy. It's just me. I am on Affiliate Marketers Give Back. Breast cancer is near and dear to my family. I'm on several different organizations. So, for me, I wasn't using this to try to make our brand look better, to be honest. It's just more so sharing what's important in my life. As a TV personality at the time, it still to this day is important to me. So it was a way for our fans just to get to know me personally and know what I do in my free time, which is a lot of volunteer work. And it wasn't really a strategy.
Right,
But
right.
yeah,
But it
I
ends up
would
that
post
way.
it openly. Yeah.
So I think that's just a good way to, again, share with people what you believe, what your values are, and it gives them a new opportunity to connect with you. This was one of the examples that I felt like was a good example of Jeremy's voice. Like I said, irreverent. It's just a little bit different than what some of us would share. Nate, I pulled a slide of one of the times you shared a success, and I think this is also important. So sharing those behind the scenes things, talking about your passions and your values and your successes. One of the questions that has come up over and over as we've told people the panel that we're doing today is whether or not to share pictures of your kids. And people have really, really strong feelings on this one way or the other. We've heard some really great stories, and we've heard some horror stories this week. So I just wanted Scott to share with you why you do that and why you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a personal thing, and it's something that everybody has to decide for themselves, how much of their personal life they want to expose. And I feel comfortable sharing pictures of me and my kids. It's something that, I love to do, and maybe it's because I have boys. That's a little, might be different than people with girls. But yeah, and they're cute, and I get a lot of good feedback about it, and it's fun. Some people have a bad experience, and it changes everything they feel about sharing personal stuff like this. For me, I kind of err on the side of just going for it, with stuff, and see how the feedback is, and if it's positive, continue to do it. If it's not positive or negative, which negative doesn't happen very often, and I'll back off. It's kind of like A/B testing with anything that you do. Just throw stuff out there, and if you get a bunch of likes and shares, then it's working. And pictures of kittens and cute kids seem to work. And
and we have heard from people that are in this room that don't want to share their kids' names on Facebook, so they refer to them as something else, either the first letter of their name or Munchkin or a different way, so that they're not putting that information out there. Did you have a question? We had just the other night, someone was telling me a story about they were sharing pictures of their kids, and it was someone who speaks at conferences frequently, and this individual had someone who had scoured their Facebook page, knew everything about them, knew the drinks she liked, knew a lot about her personal life, and it kind of creeped her out, and it was a little bit uncomfortable. But then the individual made a comment about her daughter, not a sweet comment about your daughter's cute, but a creepy comment about how beautiful her daughter was, and her daughter was very young, and so it made her very uncomfortable, and she went home and defriended everybody on Facebook. So I think that people just have really different views on that. Yes, ma'am.
There's also in the new phones have location based on your photos.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're uploading all those photos onto Facebook, people can now right-click and tell exactly where those photos were taken, so they can find out what school that your kids go to, what your favorite bar is, or wherever you're taking those pictures.
So I think you just have to really decide what you're comfortable with sharing, and know that there are people you have no idea who they are that are looking at the pictures you're putting out there.
If you take a picture with the location services shut off, then it does not encode that information into your photos.
Right. One of the other things I wanted to discuss was real-time marketing. Some of you may have seen this when the lights went out during the Super Bowl, and within seconds, Oreo had grabbed it and was making posts about it. So they did a really good job of this. And I just wanted to go through a few examples of real-time marketing, or what some people refer to as newsjacking. This was one of the fails that a company, that Urban Outfitters had. This was during Hurricane Sandy, and they decided to use that as a marketing opportunity, and they got horribly negative feedback about it. People were very offended that they chose to use that to market. Another one, same thing with the Gap, but a successful. Oh yeah, that was not successful.
That was a major fail.
That was a major fail, yeah. So there's a really great way to newsjack. I do it all the time on my Facebook pages. When I live in Colorado and when the fires were going on, I used one of my community Facebook pages to keep everybody informed. And I knew that it was a way for me to get more business. I knew that it was a way for me to get more attention, but I did it tastefully instead of encouraging people to shop. This was another one. We were talking about setting up Google Alerts. This boutique had set up an alert for the word Aurora because it was a brand that they liked. When it started trending, when the Aurora theater shootings happened, they posted this. And again, they just got torn apart on social media for using that as a way to get people to shop. So if you choose to set up those Google alerts, it's really important to make sure you realize what the word means other than what you're looking for. Here was a win. This was during, I think it was during the Emmys. Charmin used that whole evening to post things about their brand. They do a great job of having a voice on social media, and the whole night they posted pictures of stars and dresses with toilet paper trailing from their feet. One of the other questions that we've heard come up is whether or not it's appropriate to share your opinion. The example that I see over and over is people sharing their opinion about politics. And I just wanted any of you to discuss a time that you've decided to share your opinion about something that's been a success, or why you've decided not to.
I don't share opinions. I mean, there's no reason to. For a professional brand, whatever you do on your personal page, when I'm Melissa Salas, I guess is one thing I still don't really share my opinion, but when it comes to your brand and on my corporate page, no. I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinions and everyone has their own different backgrounds, and for me, that's just something I choose not to. At presidential elections, encourage people to vote. In a time of need, people need to come together, encourage to come together, encourage, love and peace and all those good things, but I wouldn't side on anything. I wouldn't say, Obama or whoever,
Right.
That's just my opinion.
So I would echo that sentiment. If your brand is coffee or watches, there's no reason for you to engage in a debate about politics. You're just going to tick off half of your audience for no reason at all. So you're going to turn off a bunch of people, or you're going to bring up a question, and then people are going to start arguing. You're going to be moderating a political debate on your coffee or watch page, which is not relevant at all.
But I do believe that there are businesses out there that is part of their strategy. Even if they aren't a political business, they decide that it's going to build loyalty if they share which side they're on, and it does. It works for people.
Ash,
Yeah.
can I add one?
You want to interject
I
there?
generally don't share my opinion. I'm like Melissa. I won't. I'm not terribly political anyway. But I won't put an opinion out there. But sometimes you're in the position to have one, and an important one. And for me, in affiliate marketing, I've always been kind of positioned as a thought leader or someone who's talking about the industry, and as an affiliate blogger. Sometimes things come up and I'll speak out because I know that people will hear my voice, and I know it's an important issue. And there was an example, only a few people will probably remember it, but it was, I don't know, back in 2005 or 2006 when one of the networks did something what most people had a real problem with. It's kind of a technical change and that sort of thing. And no one was really listening to the buzz that was going on in the affiliate space, so I kind of stepped up and wrote a big blog post about it and got a ton of attention about it, and people on both sides of the argument kind of rallied around it. And I took a chance and put my opinion out there, and it was a strong one. It was against a company that I used to work for, and it was a risk, but it turned out good, because I got people talking. And Tricia did something recently and posted an opinion piece on a negative. Many of you may have seen it on VentureBeat very recently, like last week. There was an article about how affiliate marketing is a scam, and it was a pretty misinformed article that was posted. And Tricia, was up here in front, managed to get a rebuttal posted on VentureBeat, and she put her personality and her opinion out there, and lots of people rallied behind that, and that was fantastic. So I think there's a time when you're in a position to have an opinion that's going to make a difference, that it can be a good thing.
And attacked about it. You got verbally attacked over and over on it about emphasizing that you're an attorney. So, but then I think people really backed up to support you after that. One of the things that I wanted to just touch on really quickly was just inviting customers to be personal on your Facebook page or your Twitter. This was actually an example of McDonald's invited customers to be personal, and it backfired completely. But I think there are times for it. So they asked for people to share a story about a lunch or what they love about it, and it didn't go so well. So you can see people said some really horrible things. So I think that there is a time and place for inviting your customers to share about themselves, but it can get a little bit scary too. I just thought this picture was hilarious. This was another example that of what Nate brought up when she named her album, or she set the hashtag, and it was inappropriate, and so people started posting about it all over the place. Can you see it on there? It's Susan Album Party. She can read it a little bit different. So you can also read it as Sue's Anal Bump Party. Just got to be a little careful what you do there. That's a little bit too much personality on a Facebook page.
Personalization is the key.
Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to add to this before we open it up for questions?
I mean, great way. I mean, there is wins and fails of asking customers to to give you feedback in a social space. I'm sure you've heard of crowdsourcing or getting feedback on anything. And so we just launched a redesign. In the short months that I've been with the company with World of Watches, we launched a site redesign. And so we asked our customers what they thought, and we welcomed their feedback. And for us, we want it all, whether you don't like it, do like it. We got some great user experience, responses that we were able to take back to the developers and make it better for them. So again, we allowed social media to be a voice for them to be able to freely, give us feedback. And that worked for us.
One way you can do that is if you're expecting a certain amount of negative feedback that you don't want, you can incentivize it and make it a private survey, invite them to answer the survey, they get an entry for a contest or something. But it's kind of like if you ask a question in a public forum and you don't know what the answer is, be prepared for anything. So really know who your audience is before you ask that question.
And
you
again,
don't want to know the truth.
If you do get the negative feedback, it's an opportunity to create more loyalty, that you can respond to that. So what I wanted to go over is just what we covered here, that it's really important, just like Nate just said, to identify your audience, know who you're speaking to, know if they're going to respond positively to a sense of humor or strong language, to determine and decide your strategy, the voice that you're going to find. Or the voice, it may have nothing to do with who you are. I talked to an individual this week that was telling me that they tend to be very private, and so they have not done social media, even though they knew it would help their business. And so we talked about it does not have to be her voice on the page, it just has to be a voice. Remain consistent with that voice to build the loyalty. And use common sense. Be smart about it. Because if you're not, you're going to get crucified on social media. So I just wanted to open this up to see if anybody had any questions. Oh.
There's a microphone in the middle.
Yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind coming to ask it on the microphone, so we can grab it for the video. And here's all our contact information while we're answering questions.
Okay, I have two questions. The first question is, are you guys using like a Hootsuite or something like that to, and if so, how far out are you scheduling, any of your posts and tweets? And I'll give you the second question now, which is, what do you do when a client wants to follow you personally? So I have a personal account, both Facebook and Twitter, and then I have my corporate, and two very different conversations, two different personalities. Thanks.
Well, to your second question, we were just talking about that as a panel, because as you can see on the last slide, it gave all of our personal Twitter accounts, and well, at least for me, it's my personal Facebook account. That's not any of my Swiss Watch International accounts. We didn't ask you to follow me on World of Watches or, on e-watches or whatnot. It's to follow me personally. So that becomes a question. It's okay, I don't know you personally, but now I've invited you to come into my personal space. Now you're going to know what I do on the weekends and what I do in the off hours. And so we talked about that, and Facebook actually has launched a way to have followers on public topics instead of actually friending them. So, but to answer your point, until then, when I launched my account in 2007, it was for me to talk to my friends and my old, college and high school friends, my family in Oklahoma. So quickly, I grew to, I don't know how many friends I have, maybe 2,000, but I don't know all of them. I've acquired them through speaking at conferences for the last 12 years. So it became where my personal became business, but now Facebook has a solution for that.
And this is relatively new. This has come out in the past few weeks or so. There was something similar to it, but it's something that you can go into your account and choose to turn this on so people can follow you. So if you just go over to your settings, right over here, the account settings.
It used to be subscribe.
Oh yeah, it was subscribe before. And right over here, for where it says followers, you can choose to turn that function on or not. So if you feel like there are people who want to hear what you have to say, but you don't necessarily want them to see everything you're putting out, then you can just allow them to follow you now.
Well, then you can control what's being said on Facebook and who it's being shared with. So each individual post, you'll have a drop-down menu next to the submit button, which will allow you to choose friends, public, or specific lists, or you can even just have one person, or you can delete one person from it, and that's what I do. My personal Facebook page is 99% personal. I don't talk about business because I just think of it as when I was 15 and selling Amway and bugging the hell out of my parents and my friends and family, and I didn't make any money. All I did was make enemies, so I choose not to market to my own personal friends. They know what I do. If they need something, they come to me. As far as the Hootsuite question, as far as managing multiple accounts for Twitter, I definitely use Hootsuite. For Facebook, I like to use the dashboard right on Facebook.com since they've had the scheduling tool, and I schedule a week ahead of time. So, I'm here at Affiliate Summit, but right now while we're speaking, there's content being posted. And all I have to do while I'm away is keep up with comments and questions and responses, which is a huge thing to do. Anywhere, for any business, it's between 80 and 98% of businesses do not respond, do not even acknowledge comments made by users. That's why you are there. So if you are not doing that, that is a definite must. Even if you just click like on their comment, read it, make sure it's appropriate, but just acknowledging that that person took time out of their day to make a comment on your page it goes a long way.
So you can see where you would share a status normally. You can just hit the little clock down here, and it will allow you to schedule when the post goes out. Maybe
Great.
not.
Good job. No, sorry.
It's not
No,
gonna come
there's
up.
also a targeting option, a feature. So you can hit the little, it looks like a scope when you turn it on in your settings, and you can have it show in the news feeds of only specific people. So if you have multilingual following, you have some followers that speak English, some that speak Spanish, you can, instead of having to write an English post and a Spanish post in the same post, you can write one English, one Spanish, and target one in English, one in Spanish, without overloading the news feed and annoying people.
And for me, it's much more of a blurred line between my business and my personal, and a lot of my friends are in the online marketing space, and so it makes perfect sense for me to friend people, in the online marketing space. Although I do have some projects that I don't know anybody in that industry, but I do get friend requests from those people, and I generally don't accept them. They're not somebody I ever know or even want to talk to, but they'll people tend to friend just because maybe they just want to connect or that sort of thing, and I'll tend not to approve those in the spaces that I don't have that kind of personal connection with. So it really depends on the business and who the audience is. If you are part of the industry or part of the business visibly, then I think it makes sense. If you're, like Ashley said, your personality that you're giving your business isn't you, then it probably doesn't make sense to be becoming friends with your clients and that sort of thing.
I pulled up an example. Mari Smith is another personality that she is her business. I'm not even sure if she has a business name outside of her name. And the strategy that she used, she has her personal page, but then she also has a fan page that all of her business items go on this. So she's kind of taken the strategy of having 2 separate accounts. So some people do that, and some people choose to mix it all together. When you asked about the scheduling, I actually use Scott's tool for scheduling. So I have several clients whose social media I'm managing, and there's too much for me to post every day. And so I use the calendar on Sharist to schedule everything to go out. Part of that is because I want to schedule things that other people have posted, and there's not a way to do that on Facebook. So I would like to share an event that's coming up next weekend, but I want it to post Saturday morning. I can't do that in Facebook, so I use Scott's tool to do that. There was one other thing I wanted to address with what you just said. I'll get back to it. Do you guys have anything? Do you have
Any
anything to
other
add, Melissa?
questions? We got 5 minutes.
On a Facebook page, you can turn on targeting, so you can, when you write a post, everybody who goes to your actual page can see these targeted posts, but it will only appear in the news feed of the group that you choose. So you can segment by gender, location,
Age.
yeah, and language.
The thing I wanted to add about scheduling is that if something happens like a natural disaster and you have posts scheduled to go out, you got to remember to grab those back. So,
Definitely.
any other questions?
Scott, you mentioned about sending posts on your personal page about business out to your friends. Have you had any problems with that? Do people get upset with you for doing business on a personal page?
No, because I'm not really heavy-handed with the business. I'll just share about my business, and I'll kind of make it personal. And I don't do it very often, So it's not like I'm constantly selling to my friends, and I just
Except on your birthday.
except on my birthday, I was begging. But I'll just throw it out there. And I'm just transparent, and it's part of who I am, and and a lot of my friends are also in the space, so it makes sense for me.
I have about 3,000 members in my Facebook group that I do a lot of training on from a variety of verticals. But the question always comes up about using profiles for business, which are totally against Facebook's terms of service. And we cover that in depth when I work with clients, particularly more high-profile clients. What are your thoughts? Because I'm hearing a little bit of a mix, and I might post 2 times a week on my personal profile something about my business. I never do anything about my business on my personal profile. And Facebook really doesn't have profile police. So they're not out there, there's several big accounts that have been high profile that have been closed down. But how do you feel about the compliance issue?
Well, if you're using a personal profile as a business, you are violating the terms of service if you are outside of your personal name. If your first name is your first name and your last name is your last name is obviously not lawn care or pizza place. So that's a good indicator right there. Also, your posts on a personal profile are not going to be indexed by a search engine. So that would be one other thing that you'd be throwing away right there. And you're maxed out at 5,000 friends versus what you can have on a page, and you also don't have access to the advertising platform.
For me, it drives me crazy when businesses do that. So if they use, what he's asking is if you set up your business as a person on Facebook, just the way that you interact, you're using a business name to comment as things, it drives me nuts when I have a lot of clients that have set things up that way, and it just ruins everything. It ruins the way that you can interact as a business.
But you can transition those if you've made that mistake already. You've built up a following of 3,000 people, and you're like, well, I don't want to start over again. You can port that over to a page and you retain the people. You lose all your content, but you still keep the people.
I have several affiliate marketers trying to do that. And it just drives me crazy.
Right. I don't want to be friends with anything.com.
Right.
I have 2 questions. For how you had to differentiate between 5 different brands for the watches. So we have 2 different services that are selling the exact same thing. So my question is how what measures did you take to choose how to differentiate them, or what niches to use for which one? Did you use like persona research, or you knew what worked already?
Exactly. Persona research, knowing the demographic. eWatches has a very young demographic, ages 25 to 35. So I decided to make that the designer watch brand. That's going to be your BCBG, Michael Kors, Fossil, Nixon, those brands. So now that's going to be the young, cool, hip store for that demographic. World of Watches, the Watchery is more, of your Breitlings and Cartiers, so that's a higher end, a male demographic. So it was looking at psychographics, demographics, and looking who the core customer was, and then taking that research and what they were buying, and then developing your voice and brand there.
So it was more, instead of what customer you wanted to reach for that brand, it was what customer was already into that brand, and then you just developed that one?
Absolutely, yeah.
And my other question about the real-time marketing, about newsjacking. I've also heard in another conference that the Oreo thing wasn't as successful because while it was like really talked about, it actually didn't have higher sales than normal. I don't know if that's true. But so how do you get something like that to convert to sales as opposed to just being something people talk about?
So, for example, for us, at my previous role, when Hurricane Sandy happened, we offered a huge discount to those affected by Sandy for like, the energy generators or electricity generators or whatever. So we sold product that they would need, and we would find a way to get it to them at a discount. So we use that not and position it in a way that it's not us being selfish. We're not trying to take advantage of a awful, devastating situation to make sales. It was a way for us to we're going to discount this maybe even below cost to kind of help. I think it's very tacky to try to promote your business, shop business, or whatever on a day of disaster. I think it's very tacky.
And I don't know that you're going to see necessarily an immediate ROI on that, but you are developing that loyalty to your brand. So as they see that personality there, they have a feeling that they know you. And so even if you don't see your sales immediately increase, it's still developing that loyalty.
The day of the Oklahoma tornadoes, just having to pray for Oklahoma or something like that. I think, we got a ton of likes and shares just showing that we have a heart and we're caring for them. But then again, it's like if you are a business that can positively impact a natural disaster, then that's a great way to be able to offer your help as well.
I'm going to go buy some Oreos after this.
Because of that.
So maybe you'd like the Oreo page from seeing that, and then after a while, you see a few more of their messages, you opt into one of their email lists, and
Right.
and eventually that can convert.
It's the top of mind. It keeps you at the top of people's minds when they're seeing that. Yes.
Question for Melissa. Do you care to share where you get your information from about your demographics and what they're buying? Because I was thinking that the same thing is finding out my demographic are young girls under 25. And I wanted to find out what they're buying and why they're buying it. I have a 19-year-old daughter, and I can't understand them. So, and I can't get her to tell me what they like.
Sure, yeah. We just got a time thing. We've reached time, but I have my cards here. I'd be happy to give you a list of the different companies we've used for that research. But a lot of times it's even using your back-end analytics, order history, data that you already might be collecting. So I can help you with that.
Thank you guys for all coming to our presentation.
And please remember to fill out the surveys. That's very helpful. Thank you.